Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Profit Builder Unscripted. If you have ever had the experience of somebody not keeping their word with you or keeping their agreement, you're going to want to listen to this recording. All right, let's jump in. I had something happen this week that was super frustrating that I really just felt compelled to share with you because my experience, I think, might be something that is worth thinking about the next time somebody on your team makes an agreement or you make an agreement and it doesn't get kept. So I engaged with this friend associate of mine a couple of weeks ago to do some marketing stuff for me. And it's somebody that I've known for a long time, somebody who I believe to be very smart and very capable, and somebody that I really like. And when I reached out to him initially, I confirmed with him, I was like, hey, I know that you're really busy. Are you sure you have the capacity to take on another client and do some more work? And he was very, very certain and affirmed that, yep, he absolutely had the capacity and the ability and the desire to work on this project with me. And so we set up our first meeting and that went great. And I told him everything about what we've been doing, what we're looking for, where we needed some support. And then at the end of that meeting, we scheduled a meeting with Dortha on my team to have a further conversation about what specifically would we be wanting to work with him about. And he had promised that he would come prepared with that meeting with having looked at some information that I had sent him, but also kind of outlining what he thought a plan would be. And so we scheduled the meeting, sent the invite, and then half an hour before the meeting, I got an email from his assistant saying, hey, he's double booked. He'll have to push it back a half an hour. Dortha and I hustle, shuffle our schedules, and we start a half an hour later to accommodate his time. And then he only has a half an hour instead of an hour to meet with us. I'm like, okay, great. Stuff happens. That's all good. When he starts the meeting, he explains that, starts to explain how the meetings will go when we meet in the future and so on and so forth, but didn't really speak to what it was that was the plan. So we didn't really get a lot accomplished in that meeting. And I thought, well, maybe I misunderstood what it was that he said he was going to do. And then I realized when we hung up the call, I'm like, hey, he was going to give me feedback on this proposal, these couple of proposals I had gotten from somebody about a website change, and I hadn't heard from him about it. And so I reached out to him and email, didn't hear from him, reached out to him in text, didn't hear from him the next day, sends me a note. He goes, I'll have an answer to you by the end of the day. I'm like, okay, great. So, and then I said, and you were also going to have the proposal to us by the end of the week. Will we have that? Yep, we'll have it to you. The next day, I did finally get the response about the proposals that I had asked him for input about, but then I didn't get a response to the proposal for the scope of work that we were going to do. And then Monday came and there's still no proposal. And Tuesday came and there's still no proposal. And I'm like, what's the deal? And it got me really thinking a lot about how in this exchange, I have lost confidence in him. And I've actually lost some respect for him and how I now don't trust him to do the work that he says he's going to do. Now I'm like, can he really do everything that he says he's going to do? Because so far, how he's showing up is somebody who's not reliable and that I can't count on and that I can't trust. And the other thing that really bugged me was the fact that even when he did respond, there was no apology for having not kept his agreement with me. And let me just be clear, because, if you follow me at all, you know that I talk about this whole thing about not making veiled demands, not making assumptions, not expecting things from people. But what we do when we want to have people follow through and be consistent is we make explicit agreements that are specific, time-driven, and they're measurable. And we had those agreements in place. But he didn't, did he not follow through, and I'm still, by the way, waiting for my proposal, is that he did not apologize when he did when when it was brought to his attention. And it just, this whole thing got me thinking about, I'm not just recording this to whine, um, but it just got me thinking about how many times does this happen in business where we say we're going to do something, but then we don't do it. Or we say we're going to do something by a particular time and then we don't do it. And then on top of that, not apologizing for not keeping an agreement it's bad manners, I think, right? And listen, I know things happen, right? Like breakdowns happen, things get in the way, issues come up, like unexpected things. I totally get that. And in the moment when those things happen, I have that happen. One of the things that's on our radar as a team, and certainly for me personally, is I go, if I'm not going to be able to keep an agreement that I make, I renegotiate that agreement before it's a broken agreement. So what do I mean by that? Well, if I say I'm going to be there at noon and I'm not going to make it by noon, before noon I call and I apologize and I say, I'm so sorry, I'll be there at 12:10. I don't make excuses. I don't tell stories. I don't say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry is really just a statement of my own personal feelings of how I'm feeling. And honestly, if I'm apologizing to somebody, it's an apology to them for something that I'm not doing as I agreed to. But what it's doing is it's taking responsibility and it's letting somebody know, hey, I can't do that. Or to have sent, what he could have done was sent me an email and said, hey, I really apologize. I made an agreement I was going to have that to you by Friday. I am not going to be able to get that to you by Wednesday. Is that okay with you? Can we still move forward? Like something, but it's been crickets. And the more time that goes on that there's no response, the more it degrades my confidence and my trust in him, which I don't want to have. And I will tell you that because I have a relationship with this person and it's somebody that I have known and liked for a long time, I will have a conversation with him about it called, I'm pretty sure this is not the identity that you want to create in your business and in your life. And because I think that's true about him. But it's like, how many times are there people in our lives who don't say anything to us, who are not willing to come back and go, hey, I have lost trust or confidence in you. And then it got me thinking about the whole thing of, I think that as leaders and as business owners, if we did one thing, and that one thing was we showed up on time and did two things, showed up on time and did what we say we were going to do. If we say we're going to be someplace at a particular time, be there on time. 3 minutes late, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, that's not on time. If you give somebody a range of time and you still show up within that range of time, all good, right? But if you say you're going to be there at noon, 12:01 is not noon. If you're going to start a meeting at 1 o'clock, 1:05 is not on time. If you say you're going to have a proposal done into somebody by Friday at the end of the day, it's Friday by the end of the day. Now that's the end of the day can be 11:59. I would have been fine with that, actually. So it's just, I think that it's important for us to think about how those little things that sometimes we don't give a lot of thought to, we go, oh, it was close enough, deteriorate and diminish our identity and our reputation and the trust that people have in us. And it's really like when it all comes down to it, our word is everything. That it's everything in terms of how we build identity and reputation, and that we build trust in our community and our relationships and with our clients and with everybody in our life, quite frankly. And I learned this a long time ago, because I will tell you, when I was in my early 20s, I had a horrible relationship with time. In other words, I never showed up on time. I was always breaking my agreements, and I always had a story about it. Thankfully, I got a little older. I actually did this training that really sort of was a smack upside my head that really taught me about the value of keeping your word and doing what you say you're going to do, and renegotiating agreements before they're broken agreements, because sometimes life happens, right? Anyway, like I said, I was very compelled to want to share this because I think it's important. I think it's important in terms of how we interact in our relationships and how we build trust and how we build confidence in who we are and how we are with people and in our business. And it can be very detrimental in terms of how we're building an identity and reputation. And it's also a way to build trust with our team and our employees. And that, sometimes I notice, and I've been at fault for this too, that even with my team, sometimes I get a little lax because I go, well, they're my team. If I'm a few minutes late, it's okay. But it's not. It deteriorates trust in that relationship too. So just because they're not customers and we're the boss also doesn't mean that we can deteriorate the trust in those relationships. So I hope you've taken a nugget from this. Like I said, I just felt like it was an important conversation to have. And as always, I appreciate you being here, you listening, you being part of this community. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you have something to share. And we'll see you next time on the Profit Builder Unscripted.